This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are your number one source for WKU sports news and information. We are the only year-round WKU podcast and the only WKU podcast that covers every single sport and every single athlete at Western Kentucky University. We are also a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community. Make sure you're following us on all the social media platforms. We're pretty much on all of them. I always highly recommend our Twitter or X feed, where you're going to get the most constant and consistent updates with just any news and information that pertains to WKU as it happens almost in real time. Then make sure you slide over to our YouTube channel, subscribe over there, get notified anytime we release an episode, and watch the video version of all these episodes. Got Tyler here with me, man. You ready to dive into a good little recap of a tough SEC battle?
Yeah, man, I am. Let's get into it.
Before we do that, though, we have to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap up, which catches us up with all the news and information we missed since we last recorded. So, Tyler, hit us with that Red Towel wrap up.
All right, so coming in strong, Armello Boone. He was named Conference USA Freshman of the Week.
Yeah, so that's his second Freshman of the Week award. And I think we said after the first one, probably the first of many. So I'm going to say it again and reiterate it again. Probably the second of many Freshman of the Week awards for him, man, because he is just an absolute playmaker. He's a highlight reel. He's a defensive standout. He's just a really good freshman talent, and he's proven that week in and week out with his play on the court. So big congratulations to Armello.
And also big congratulations to the WKU volleyball team. They won their third straight Conference USA tournament. Kylie Bauer was named MVP. The alternate team is Kylie Bauer, Taylor Barron, Faith Young, and Olivia Skidmore.
Man, this was a absolutely crazy volleyball tournament. I got to watch a lot of it. One seed UTEP was upset straight out the gate by Missouri State, so it felt like, man, it's wide open. It's ours for the taking. We stumbled a little bit against New Mexico State in our first game, took care of business in our second game, but man, then we got into the final with FIU. Won the first set pretty handily, but then we had trouble in sets 2 and 3. We had to win set 4 and go to 5. And set 5 was a nail biter. Going to 15, that was some of the most intense volleyball. I would say that we didn't play our best, but I would say that we were forced into that by how well FIU played. Really hats off to them, the host team. They had a good crowd, had a good environment, and really pushed us as hard and as far as they could, and played a really good tournament. But definitely big time congratulations to our volleyball team, third straight Conference USA Tournament Championship. This will be our 11th NCAA tournament appearance in the last 12 seasons. Callie Bauer, Player of the Year, gets MVP. 4 of our players on the all-tournament team. Just an absolute great season, capped off with a great tournament run, and can't wait to see who they draw this next weekend for Selection Sunday. Hopefully there's somewhere close where if you want to go to the game, you can. But really excited for them getting to continue their play into the NCAA tournament.
And just one more time, congratulations to the women's volleyball team. That's awesome. You've made Western proud. Go on, continue to be great and dominate the NCAA tournament. But with that, that concludes this week's episode of the Red Towel Wrap Up. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, now we've got a game recap of the recent game versus LSU. And that game recap is brought to you by Roof Girl. If you have a leaky roof or shingles detached, faded, or just plain blah, don't just call any roof company, call Paula with Roof Girl. Locally owned and operated with over 6 years of experience and a proud WKO alumni, she will work with your insurance company. Give Roof Girl a call today at 270-392-4768 to set up a free inspection and quote. See her work by following Roof Girl on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, you're not just calling any roofing company, you're calling Paula, a person who cares for your roof. And a good roof is a roof you can forget about. Again, call Roof Girl at 270-392-4768 to get started today. Now, WKU, as we all well know, traveled down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to play the Tigers of LSU in front of an announced crowd of 100,923 people. So, man, really, really huge environment. I mean, that's SEC, that's Death Valley, that's everything you expect to see. Even as in a season when they're down and they're not, playing up to their level of expectations of competing for a national championship, man, to still have over 100,000 people is a heck of an environment. The upset minded Tops came in with no fear. We got the ball first, and we promptly went down the field and scored to take a 3-0 lead. From there, a defensive battle broke out on the field. There was four straight punts. Early in the second quarter, WKU drove down to the goal line. We ran a halfback pass back to quarterback Rodney Tisdale that was unfortunately dropped at the goal line. Just really a beautiful play, executed well, just everything but the catch, man. It would have put us up 10-0, and I would have felt really good about the ball game at that point if we had just brought it in, fell into the end zone. But unfortunately, that drive ended with turnover on downs. No points were taken. We did not kick a field goal. Our next drive also presented a chance for more points. It would have been a long field goal attempt, but we again turned the ball over on downs. From there, LSU was able to capitalize. They went down and scored for their first scoring drive, which was late in the second quarter to take a 7-3 lead, which was the score at halftime. The third quarter saw 5 total punts. I mean, it was just, again, a defensive battle broke out on the field. WKU also threw 2 interceptions in that third quarter as LSU tightened up their man-to-man defense. LSU tacked on a field goal to go up 10-3. And then the fourth quarter saw LSU tack on another field goal to go up 13-3. Both teams traded punts. Again, 5 punts in the fourth quarter as well. And then finally, the WKU defense stepped up and forced an LSU fumble that Dylan Flowers returned 71 yards for a touchdown, making the score 13-10. At that point, there was barely a minute and some change left in the game. WKU attempted an onside kick, but LSU recovered, held on for the victory. The loss moves WKU to 8-3 on the season. Still, obviously 6-1 in Conference USA play. We're still in control of our championship game hopes. We win next week versus Jacksonville State, and we host the conference championship in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We lose, and we're out. Quite frankly, feels very familiar. Feels like last year, 2024 deja vu all over again. Tyler, that was a really quick recap of the game. It was really a defensive slugfest that I don't think either one of us saw coming into the game. Both of us had higher score predictions, but the fact that it was so low scoring and the fact that I guess Western was just so sound defensively really gives me a lot of optimism going into this last game. So tell me about your thoughts on this game and just how it played out with the low scoring affair.
I mean, whenever I was listening to the post game interview from the MTSU game, I knew the team and the coaches were ready to go down to Baton Rouge and to play. The players all said, it ain't nothing. That they weren't really scared to play at LSU, but I wasn't expecting the defense to play like they did. That game was very winnable. I mean, you connect a few passes or you kick 2 field goals, we win probably. Um, our defense really surprised me. Um, I just kind of wish the offense would have kind of gotten into gear just a little bit better. But we were playing against the number one pass defense in the SEC. I'm not sure about the run defense, but dude, our red zone defense came up strong because we gave them great field position. Uh, I think like 2, 3 drives, but our red zone defense, hats off to them. They they forced them to kick the field goal or or turnover on downs. This was a very gutsy game. Coach Hilton, he is a gambler. He believes in taking them chances sometimes. Um, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But dude, this team, they went down there, like you said, no fear. They played hard, they competed. I cannot be mad at the team for walking out there with the L. I mean, I thought 21.5 points was a little bit disrespectful anyway. Uh, that's just me. I thought our offense was better. Than that, our defense it has been playing better. I didn't think it played that good, but um, LSU is down a little bit. But I mean, this was still a great game. This was something. And I was watching. There's a guy on Facebook. His name is Matt Mitchell, big SEC guy. Watches Thanksgiving like SEC roundup. He actually he's like, I've seen y'all talking to the SEC teams. Seen y'all eat some cupcakes before, this next week. And one's like, points at LSU and is like, yeah, their cupcake about killed them, though. Talking about the tops. That's just something that, dude, I wish our defense would play like this every game. We'd only have one loss on season, I firmly believe. But um, can't be mad at them. That team played a hell of a game, and just kind of wish we would have maybe went for an extra field goal or two, and walked out there with a win.
Yeah, I think there's no reason to hang their head and be upset about how the game played out. I'm not one of those that likes to put on the glasses and say hindsight's 2020 and say, if we had kicked a couple field goals, then obviously we would have been up three because you just can't assume that LSU would have played the exact same way if they were down, in the fourth quarter. They probably play a little bit more aggressive, trying to get some points on the board. So, I just think game flows change completely when if we did take the points and we were up in the fourth quarter. I just think it plays out differently. I don't think it's as casual a game as LSU was playing and just running the ball and almost trying to bleed the clock and get to the end. So, as much as I hear, there's a lot of chatter online and message boards and Facebook group of, man, why didn't we take the points? You take the points in those situations. Our defense was playing outstanding. There was no reason not to believe that we could not continue to hold up. And when we're upset minded, I don't mind going for the throat. Let's go for a touchdown. Let's try to do something improbable. So I'm not mad at how the game played out, and I don't necessarily think taking the field goals means all of a sudden we win the ball game. Maybe a better chance now with the hindsight, the benefit of hindsight, but it's just hard to say, it plays out exactly the same. That's kind of my thoughts on it. So um, it was a heck of a game, a heck of a showing. Like you said, our defense played as well as they played all season. They tackled better than they have played all season. They got pressure in the backfield, had a lot of negative plays. They were popping pads, man. And we'll talk about a couple of the guys that stood out here in just a second. Looking at the stats for the game, offensively, our leading passer was, of course, Rodney Tisdale Jr. He finished the game 20 out of 39 passing. He only had 128 yards passing. He had no passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Our leading rusher was Marvis Parrish. He had 7 rushes for 32 yards. Then our leading receivers were Katie Hutchison with 8 receptions for 40 yards. Matthew Henry had 3 receptions for 16 yards. And then Jairus Mack had 1 catch for 20 yards. So again, not a ton of offense, not a ton of yards. Especially after those first few drives, it kind of seemed like LSU figured out they couldn't drop back and play a soft zone or cover two, cover three. They went to a man-to-man defense, pressing our wide receivers, jamming them at the line, and really kind of challenging us to get separation and to get open, while at the same time also bringing heat on the quarterback. Kind of made it a double-edged sword of we're not going to give you time to throw the ball, and then if you do have time to get it out of your hand, you're going to be pretty covered up. And they had the secondary, the guys that can run one-on-one with us, whereas most teams in Conference USA and that we have played in general don't have that sort of depth and that sort of talent in their secondary. Usually somebody can shake free and get loose. Now, a couple of our guys obviously had some pretty decent games, but most of that was in that first quarter, quarter and a half. The second half of the game was just, LSU really tightened things down and made it tough on us. And um, but luckily, defensively, we stood up and had a defensive touchdown. So a lot of props to that side of the ball as well. But Tyler, who stood out for you offensively? Anyone else that jumped off the page and just had a good game for you?
Well, I mean, you also had to include Noah Myers on there. He had 2 receptions, 12 yards. George Hart, he had 3 carries, 6 yards. And Lavelle Wright had 5 carries, 17 yards. Um, I think I would have, granted, our play calling was, yeah, I don't feel like it was normal. Of course, with LSU getting back into the backfield and disrupting that stuff, you kind of couldn't run the ball, or I don't know, coach just didn't really call it that much. But I mean, so Cameron Flowers, he had one one pass attempt, one completion, 2 yards. Marvis Parrish, that trick play that I wish Rodney Tisdale would have caught. Um, I just feel like the offense played. The offense played good. They had to play with what LSU gave them, and this is the toughest defense we're going to see all season. Um, you know, um, Musa Berry, 1 reception, 18 yards. Lavelle Wright, pass, uh, one reception, 7 yards. Marvis Parrish, 3 receptions, 3 yards. I mean, the offense, team played good. Just wish the offense could have played just a little bit better, man.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I mean, LSU clamped down and did what they need to do, just kind of like we clamped down and what we need to do as well to keep ourselves within arm reach and give ourselves a puncher's chance at this ball game. And looking at our defensive stars, the guys that stood out. Normally, we always talk about having this really even kill defense. Everybody has 7, 8, 9 tackles, 5, 6, 7, 8 tackles. It's really rare to see what we saw in this game, but I think this is one of those scenarios where when the lights are the brightest, you see your stars step up. And I think we've seen a couple of these guys step up this season. And the main one is Jalen Wester, 17 total tackles, 6 of those were solo with a half a tackle for loss. Then you also had Jalen Lewis with 15 total tackles, 10 of those were solo with 1 tackle for loss. Then you have to mention the Dylan Flowers fumble recovery for a touchdown, 71 yards to the house. And then Harper Holloman got in on the action, had himself an interception, got a turnover. Um, we still had a lot of guys kind of logjam in the middle of our total tackles and tackles for loss, etc. At the 7 and 6 and 5 mark, but to have 2 guys in well over double-digit tackles, and Jalen Wester and Jalen Lewis with 17 and 15, um, that's not normal for our defense. But man, that's awesome tape for those guys that um, I want to say Jalen Lewis has eligibility left after this year, but Jalen Wester, I'm pretty sure is out of eligibility, and this is the type of game and the type of game film that he needs to try to translate to get to the next level, to get to the pros, to put that in front of NFL scouts, etc. So really happy and excited for those guys. They obviously led our defensive charge. Seemed like they were in on every single tackle, behind the line, at the line, coming downhill and just hitting somebody, man. Tyler, what about this defense? Obviously, they played lights out. Did anybody else jump off the page for you?
Yeah, so Kent Robinson, he had 7 total tackles, 5 solo. Anthony Brackenridge, he had 7 total tackles, 3 solo, 1 pass deflected. Jalen Emery, he had 4 total tackles, 1 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 passes deflected. Nazir Ward, he had 3 total tackles, 2 solo. He also had a pass deflected. Dave Farrard, he had 3 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 pass defended. I mean, this defense, not only were they all over the field and really hitting, I mean, playing good, they were hitting really hard. I was watching on TV. I had it playing on the radio, just because I didn't really want to listen to the bias bull crap on the SEC network. Um, this defense was playing great. I can't say enough about them. I mean, they absolutely kept us in the game. And you're right. I mean, typically, everyone kind of has the same number of tackles. In this one, the not Jalen brothers, but the two Jalen's, um, definitely led the way. And you're right, Jalen Lewis, he is a junior, so he does have some eligibility left at the end of the season.
And then we got to jump over and look at the special teams guys because they did their job per usual. John Cannon, 1-1 on field goals, perfect day. Cole Maynard, 7 total punts, a 50.1 yard average. Again, that's what he does. That 50-yard average. He had a long of 60, and that was all really the special teams wise. As far as the specialists, the kickers that we had. Anybody else jump out at you there?
No, it was a good, I wish Cole Maynard just wouldn't have been out there on the field for those 7 punts. I wish we could have converted or extended the drive. But whenever he did get out there, he did flip the field. He was he was in the back of his end zone quite a few times. But Jarius Mack, he had 1 punt return for 1 yard, and we didn't. They obviously kicked it out of the end zone, so we didn't have no kick returns. But special teams went out there, played great.
Now, looking at our keys to victory recap, running down those, your first key to victory was get their offense off of the field. How do we do?
Well, LSU did have 5 punts. Um, we were better or um, I'm sorry, they had 7 punts, so we was really equal. Our punter was still better, so suck it. Um, but I just wish we could have capitalized on some points whenever we got them off the field.
And they were 3 out of 16 on third down. So we got them off the field quite a bit. Made their life hard. My first key to victory was keep the big plays in front of us. And I'd have to say, for the most part, I don't remember them having any big explosive plays. When they went down the field and scored on us, it was kind of a methodical drive, running the ball, throwing the ball to that big tight end who ended up getting into the end zone. So did a great job at keeping those big plays in front of us and not letting them rip off chunk play after chunk play. Tyler, your second key to victory was limit turnovers. How did we do there?
Well, we only had 2 interceptions, and one of those I can't really put on Tisdale because it was batted up from the line, and then the dude just came in underneath it. It's just one of those football plays. Um, so I mean, I think we did really limit the turnover. It was a 2-1 turnover battle. 2-2, yeah, that's right, 2-2. So I mean, we did that great.
Yeah, my second key to victory, and the only reason I was ready and loaded with that information was because I said we needed to win the turnover battle, and obviously they had those 2 interceptions in the third quarter, and we had an interception of our own with Harper Holloman. Then we also had that the fumble force that we returned for a touchdown. So we evened it up with turnovers. We probably needed that to be positive to give ourselves an even better chance of winning. So you'll take a draw there on the road at an SEC school. Now, Tyler, your third key to victory was play hard and play smart. How do we do?
I feel like we did great. The defense definitely played hard, played smart. Offense did go out there and play hard, but like I said, they could only take what LSU was giving them because LSU is such a hard nosed defense. So I believe we excelled in that key.
Yeah, we didn't take any big gambles and big risks like we've seen in years past against Alabama and Ohio State, where we kind of shot ourselves in the foot on the wrong side of the 50. So I'd agree there. My third key to victory was let the offense continue to be multifaceted. Felt like early in the game we committed to the run, and then we kind of got away from that as the game went on. There was more pressure in the backfield. They were crashing down and just defending us differently where we weren't getting many yards running the ball. So we kind of got away from running the ball. And I understand that you kind of have to play to what the defense gives you. And they were really tough up front. We expected that. They were every bit of advertised of SEC size and athleticism. So, sometimes it is what it is. Take what they give you. Jumping over to the key indicators for the game. Total first downs for the game was 14 to 20 in favor of LSU. Third down conversions, WKU was 4 out of 15 on third downs. We were also 0 of 3 on fourth downs, while LSU was 3 out of 16 on third downs, and they were 1 out of 3 on fourth downs. So basically a draw there. Total yards for the game, WKU was at 152, while LSU was at 328. So win for LSU. Turnovers was even at 2 to 2. Penalty yards, WKU only had 4 penalties for 26 yards, while LSU had 9 total penalties called against them for 69 yards. And then time of possession, WKU had the ball for 24 minutes and 6 seconds, while LSU had the ball for 35 minutes and 54 seconds. So most of those advantage LSU, even if just by a little bit, but just kind of shows you that small margin between victory and defeat on the road at an SEC school. You've got to play kind of to your best and give yourselves extra opportunities to win, and we just didn't do that. But man, what a heck of a game and a respectable game that we did play. I've had several people, non WKU fans, reaching out to me during the game, after the game, like, man, y'all played a heck of a game. I checked the score. I was surprised. And I love to hear that. People recognizing, like, man, the tops, we were right there. We could have had us an upset. But it is what it is. Heck of a game. Let's jump into some grades. What do you have for the offense versus LSU?
So first half offense played great. I think second half, it was in the third or fourth quarter. I think it was in the fourth quarter or early. We only had like 4 total yards. But that's just because LSU clamped down on us. But I do, like I said, I do wish offense played a little bit better. Um, I'm going to give the offense went down there and they I'm I'm going to give them a B in this one.
I'm gonna give him a C. Just 152 total yards of offense. That's not enough to get it done. It wasn't enough to get it done, but that was still. It's not. I don't feel like we left a lot of meat on the bone. I feel like we really took advantage of everything that their defense gave us. Um, they're just tough defensively. Even in all the adversity that they're facing. Um, no new coach, no coach, interim coach, whatever, and a new quarterback starting, and just a lot of adversity on their program right now. They're still tough defensively. Their defense didn't have to travel; they were at home and clamped down and had a heck of a game. So I'm gonna give our offense a C. What about our grade for the defense versus LSU?
Dude, defense, defense. I can't believe LSU had 328 yards. It seems just like our defense was out there smothering them. But I'm gonna go with the defense, giving them an A in this one. Defense played lights out, played the best game that I can remember seeing in recent years. Especially with a team as the caliber of LSU, but I'm definitely going to give them an A.
Yeah, the defense definitely gets an A for me as well. I mean, they played so well that if we play anywhere, if we play 80, 90% that well against Jacksonville State this weekend, we should win by double digit points. That's how good they played. Now, obviously, that'll be a tough task. Jacksonville State's a really strong running team. They're going to lean heavily on the run. They're going to force us to tackle well and to contain the edge and watch out for those play action plays. But the defense versus LSU on the road, I mean, you could not have asked for a better performance. So they get an A all day from me. What about your grade for the special teams?
Special teams, they came out there. They did what they were supposed to do whenever their number was called. I'm gonna give them an A in this one.
Yeah, pretty easy A for me as well. No glaring mistakes, did what they were supposed to do, did their job, and got off the field. So you love to see that. Just, you um, nothing to talk about. When there's nothing to talk about, that means they didn't make any glaring mistakes. So I'm going to give those guys an A all day. What about your grade for coaching?
So coaching, it's kind of like what we said earlier. Hilton is a gambler. I do like that he took the shots. It's just bad luck that they didn't fall. So I'm gonna give coaching a B in this one, especially defensive coaching. Uh, but I feel like special teams coaching, offensive coaching, all did good. So I'm gonna give them a B.
I'm gonna give him an A. I think the coaches came in with a good game plan. You heard Tyson Helton talk about it in between quarters at half. He's like, man, if we just execute down the stretch here, we can go win this ball game. He said we've got some more bullets in the chamber. We just have to execute. And he was right. Man, the defense played their tail off. The offense tried. I mean, they were out there scratching and clawing for every yard they could get. It was tough. That was a tough environment. That was a tough team. Um, but I think coaching did a great job of game planning and being ready for this game and putting us in position to, potentially have an upset victory. Yeah, I think you can't ask for much more than what they did. So I'm giving those guys an A. What about your overall grade versus LSU?
Well, it seemed like all of mine was A's and B's. So I guess I'm gonna have to go with a A minus B plus on this. I mean, it was a good game. It was a damn good game. There's just a few plays I'd like to have back and get to retry, but definitely a B plus, A minus.
Yeah, I'm going with an A. I think it was an outstanding performance. Offensive yardage and lack of points be damned. Man, I think we went out there and played a heck of a ball game against a really tough opponent. Not sure anyone else in our conference would have played them any closer or tighter than we did. Not yesterday, not any this season, but yeah, just a heck of a performance and one that I hope carries over into this Saturday. The confidence and the high level execution that we played with defensively. I think if we play that way, that's how we win the championship. And that's exactly what I think it's going to take to get that done this coming Saturday versus Jacksonville State. Tyler, who would be your player of the game at LSU?
Well, it's definitely got to be defensive. I was thinking one of the Jalen dudes, but Dylan Flyers scoop and score put us in position to potentially. All we had to do is come up with that onside kick, and I'd like seeing what we could have done. This is tough, but I'm going to go with Dylan Flyers in this one. Just he came in. He had one toe tackle, and he had one pass defended, but that scoop and score really put us in the game there at the end to potentially win that game.
Yeah, right time, right place, man. He definitely, the game was kind of dwindling down and my eyes were getting heavy. And I was kind of fighting, staying awake to watch the game. And then all of a sudden I was, whoa, I got something to watch here, man. He definitely made me pop up and pay attention to how this game was going to end. I'm also going to go with one of those defensive guys, but I'm going to go with Jalen Wester, man. 17 total tackles on the game, six solo, half a tackle for loss. just everywhere, flying around. Just it seemed like every time you looked up, number 21 was hitting somebody, was taking somebody to the turf, and that I love to see that. He's been a playmaker all season, intercepting balls, coming down, hitting people. Uh, one of our leading tacklers on the defensive side of the ball. So love to see that. I hope that energy and that effort and that intensity keeps up for this week because, like I said, that type of defensive effort will win us a championship, and we have to play our way into that. But man, I really love what he's brought to the table this season, and especially against LSU when the lights were brightest. So give me Jalen Wester. But man, what a heck of a game! My final words for it. Um, just really excited for how we played. Obviously, getting an upset victory on the road at an SEC school would have been amazing. Would have been something we talked about for 20, 30 years from now, and those players would have been talking about forever. Um, but I still am proud to have got to watch that game, to get to watch our team represent WKU in just a really good fashion. And even though close, we weren't playing horseshoes, we weren't playing grenades, it doesn't count for anything but a moral victory if you want to look at it that way. But I'm really proud of our Hilltoppers and how they played and represented themselves, and just were in position to win a tough ball game on the road. That was an environment that none of those players will soon forget. Might be the biggest environment any of them ever play in. You're playing in front of 100,000 plus people, 6:45 kickoff in the SEC. I mean that was a special environment. It looked like quite a bit of Hilltoppers made the trip down there and had a good environment for those of us wearing red. I wish I could have made the trip, but it just wasn't in the cards this season as far as traveling to some away games. But man, what a game, what a trip, what an almost victory, and real excited for how the hopefully the momentum of that game and the defensive effort can hopefully continue forward into what is definitely at least one or two more games on our schedule, could be two or three more games on our schedule if we play ourselves into a conference championship game, and then obviously we have a bowl game afterwards. So I'm really excited to see how this season's going to end. Jacksonville State's going to be a tough matchup. Obviously, we'll preview it within a couple of days. But man, excited for this team and how they're looking at the end of the season when they need to be playing their best ball. That was the best defensive effort of the season by far, and that will win us ball games if we can continue playing that way over the next couple of weeks. So excited for it, looking forward to hopefully more of the same this coming weekend. We're going to need every bit of that energy and intensity to go. We're Vegas favorites, but we're going to have to go steal a win on the road, quite frankly. Favorites or not, it's going to be a tough game and a tough environment and a good crowd. um, but why not us? Let's go win a game. Tyler, hit us with your final words and take us on out of here.
Yeah, this defense really, uh, it makes me have a brighter outlook on the future because I don't think Jacksonville State's gonna have as harder runners as LSU. They sure as hell ain't gonna have a big tight end target like Green is. I feel like if our defense can come back with that same intensity, or I mean maybe just a few points off that same intensity, I feel like we're going to easily be able to shut down Jacksonville State. But we'll talk about that later this week. Uh, but I'm I we were driving back during that first quarter, driving back to the house, and I was listening to on radio, and I said, "Honey, if me and my wife was, I said, honey, if Western beats LSU tonight, you won't be able to tell me nothing." And I woke up, I stayed up watching it, um, watched it till the bitter end. And then I woke up next morning and I was still proud of the Tops. They went out there and they represented the school great. They showed people that, hey, we can line up with the big dogs and fight you. Our guys ain't scared of nothing. I think the closest, well, LSU played La Tech, and that score's like 21-24 to 3. So we held LSU to below their season average. in points. And we just played great. Just wish a few more passes could have connected, but that so is life. But this I have I'm looking forward to Saturday's game. I think it's going to be a great game. I think defense will be as hyped as they were to play LSU because now we're playing for a conference championship or at least a spot in it, and I don't feel like they're going to give up easy. But we'll save that for later. But with that, Moff, who has better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Nobody. Go Tops.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See y'all.